Welcome to the gas planet of Celis, where you're competing to be the most notorious airship captain around. More on the game Windward right after this. Hey YouTube, this is Pecktec and I'm back with a review. This is a game called Windward. It's from Eldorado Games. I backed it on Kickstarter last year and it's just arrived. In fact, it's been here less than a week, but I've played it maybe, I'd say 10 or 12 times already. This is a fairly simple game. It's 1 to 5 players. It's from the people that made the Island of Eldorado Games. That is another game that I received on Kickstarter and I've played quite a bit and had a lot of fun with. Although there's some echoes of Eldorado in this game, it's a completely different game, a completely different system, and one that frankly I like much better. Alright, so as I mentioned, this is 1 to 5 players. There's a solo version, there's a co-op version, but the main core of this game is sort of a competitive, I'd say probably more like 1 to 4 players. Okay, so to give you a sort of a brief overview of what all happens in this game, the long and short of it is you're an airship captain. There are these creatures called crestors, which are kind of like big space whales that fly around. They're huge, aggressive creatures, and the more of them you take out, the more notoriety you acquire. When you harvest these whales, there's some sort of gas that's inside of them, and you can use that to trade for other items at the trading post. The 5th player that was kind of added on, I think with the Kickstarter, is actually a naturalist, and they don't harvest the whales so much as they tag them, and they get points based on how long those things survive out there in the world. As competing ship captains, you can also attack each other and even take the spoils of your harvest before they reach port to kind of cash them in. The game itself has a really interesting set of mechanisms. It's got a tableau where you sort of keep track of the actions that you can take and what you've taken already, as well as things like your morale, which are sort of like hit points in this game, and also determine how profitable you are when you make a harvest. Longboat speed, which controls the smaller boats. There's actually 2 different levels. The small, easier to capture crestors are at a different level, so you have to send out little longboats out to get them. And then the larger crestors are only acquired by using your bigger ships. There are all kinds of item cards, which you can purchase with the gas that you get. You get some initially, but you can also purchase more with the gas. And there's a handful, not a ton of unique cards in here, but enough unique things in here that there's always something useful that sort of pops up when you go to acquire some more cards. I'd like to do a playthrough for this one, and we can get a little bit more into exactly how the dynamics of the rules of this game work. It's a really simple game to pick up though, and I was able to teach my wife and daughter that are quite used to playing games with all kinds of different kinds of games with me. They picked it up really quick. We were basically did kind of a tutorial first round where I helped them make decisions, and then after that they were off to the races, and I struggled to beat them after about 2 games. In terms of a review, I gotta say I really enjoy this game. First of all, I love the aesthetic. I love the aesthetic and the theme, and I think that comes across pretty well. In many cases, this is a really kind of a puzzle game. You spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to maneuver through the world of Celis. There are obstructions and little portals you can jump through from one side to another. When you hit the edge of the board on certain places, you can jump from one side to the other. Your ship only has so much movement it can do, but if you're moving with the wind, and the wind changes, you roll a die and this little centerpiece will change with the wind every round. And if you're moving with the wind, it's kind of a free movement. So there's all this kind of extended movement that you can do. There's also cards and even an action that can extend your movement a little bit also. So there's all kinds of ways. It seems like, especially in the end rounds, when it's really kind of getting towards the end of the game, there's a lot of thinking on how to, one, get some stuff and then get it back to the port so you can cash it in for points. Whenever someone reaches 15 reputation points, it sort of triggers the end of the match, and the other players have a chance, like maybe one more round, to try and even it out and see if they can get close to that score. And many times, a last-minute accomplishment from one of these achievements or getting some Crester's Teeth finally back into the station has won the game, narrowly jumping over someone else that had already kind of triggered the win condition. All the games I've played with this have been pretty tight. There's hardly ever been a runaway winner. I've only played up to 3 people. I haven't played with the full gambit of 5. This board does have 2 sides. It's got this one, which is for 3 to 5 players, and it's got a smaller side with a much reduced map. It's at least like 2 hexes more shallow that you can play with 2 players, or maybe the solo game. Component wise, I really enjoy this game. I like the ships a lot. They're really neat looking. They're pre-painted, and because of that, they sort of look like dime store toys. I'd say they're not like on maybe Fantasy Flight X-Wing level as far as like their quality, but they are pretty nice for game pieces that you pull out. A lot nicer than just like maybe a meeple or a single colored thing. They're pretty cool. And I like the design of them. A lot of imagination. All the ships are just a little bit different, either in color or in where they've got their sails and stuff. So I think it's pretty fun. They've got a lot of little plastic components too to go on the tableau that could have easily been chits or something like that. And they're nice, but they don't feel like they're so nice that they would like drive the cost of the game up in a terrible way. I really love the teeth, the Crester teeth. Basically, after you process a Crester, then you put a tooth in your cargo hold to remind you to cash that in when you finally get back to the station. The way combat works is really simple. There's a little chart here on the strength, and however strong you are is how many dice you get to roll. And you can add cannons to your roll, which are just basically more dice. So a basic ship is 2, and a basic Crester is 5, or the red Crester, the bigger one, is 5 dice. But you can add cannons to kind of equal that out. Now, these aren't traditional D6s. They go from 1 to 3, which is kind of interesting. It's really easy to roll low on these dice. I think there's 2 2s and 1 3 on this, and the rest are 3 1s. So it's kind of difficult to get many points on this die, and you always want to add some cannons in. You can supplement with these cards too, these equipment cards. You can have a deck of 5 cards, a maximum deck of 5 cards. And they add kind of a lot of different things. Some will let you move through debris. Some will let you trade gas in for cannons. Others add points to your attack roll. Some for just Cresters and some for other ships too. All these things are important to keep in mind before you go after one of these, because with some bad luck, this whale can just knock you right out of the sky. Or what's worse, you'll expend all of your resources to attack one of these things and maybe even win, and then somebody else will just come along while you're weakened and take it all from you and then head back to port with your teeth. It's a fun game. It's not overwhelmed by luck. I mean, there's some dice rolling for the attacks. There's the dice you roll for which direction the wind's going to be that turn. But you can kind of mitigate that by being well prepared with either different crew that improve your hits or more cannons to give you more dice and to kind of up those percentages. Moving around this board is a real cool puzzle. And it's very satisfying to kind of end your move right next to the port and then realize, oh no, I've got no more movement, and then put one action here for one more ship speed and then finally enter there as a surprise to everyone. I think my only complaint really with the component quality is that these boards feel like they may be a little thin. I already see them kind of starting to warp a little bit. It's not a big deal right now. It's not a problem. It's not a real big problem, but I would like it if these were maybe a little bit thicker boards or sealed in such a way to where they don't quite warp as much. I found the cardstock to be kind of thin too. It's not bad, but it's a little bit thin, and I definitely would like to sleeve these. The insert they made for it is not too bad. I don't really like the way they suggest is basically you put the ship in and then you pile all the tokens on top of it. They've got a space for some of these things, but to me that'd be really difficult to pick all that out. Like, you know, have all these kind of loose things on top of your ship. You lay these boards on top too, which kind of seals everything in, supposedly. But really, I think it's more efficient to put all these in a little baggie. And if you are a person that likes to sleeve your cards, and these are thin enough to where I think a sleeve would be beneficial. If you're the type of person that do that, unfortunately the insert, the place where they've set aside for cards, will not fit sleeve cards. It's just a little bit too thin. If they made it just a tad bigger, you could probably fit sleeve cards in there. Or if you have some sleeves that are very, very close to the edges of this, it would probably work. But the ones I used have a little bit more space on the either side, so it doesn't quite work there. You can easily sort of rearrange the suggested placement in there and get very close. And to the point where the lid closes and nothing moves around, and it's still really easy to pull out and stuff. So the insert isn't perfect, but it's a good try. And I think, I don't think it's an issue at all. You can take these little pizza wedges and swap them out, swap them over to other sides of the board. So there's a lot of replayability. You're not playing on the exact same board every single time. I think that that's important. It has a number of different achievements that you can add. It says to add them in for an advanced game, but really it's not been too bad. And people getting achievements have been deal breakers. Like people, every time I've played this game, someone's won because they've gotten some achievements on top of the regular stuff that they do. So definitely game 2, go ahead and throw these in. Maybe even game 1, if you played a few games, go ahead and throw the achievements in. They have another little optional thing, which is a big white crester, like a big Moby Dick crester. And we have not played with this one yet, but I'm looking forward to maybe doing that next game. I also haven't tried a solo, and we haven't tried a co-op. We've just done the straight kind of competitive version of this game. That's kind of where we thought that would be the most fun to do. It's been a lot of fun. We haven't had a boring game yet. It may not be my favorite game of all time, but it is definitely a Kickstarter that I was really, really looking forward to, and they did not let me down. I can't wait till some more of my friends come around so I can show them what a Notorious gas captain really looks like. So Windward's a really fun game, really interesting puzzle, kind of thinking your way out of a bad situation, or trying to into a win situation where you can finally get those points, sometimes at the last minute, to overcome obstacles. The family and I really enjoyed it. We played it over and over and over again this weekend, and I'm not sick of it yet. It definitely gets a thumbs up from me, and perhaps you will enjoy it too. If there's anything else you'd like to know, be sure to leave it in the comments down below, and I'll check it out as soon as I can. And folks, thank you so much for stopping in. I had a fun time reviewing Windward and talking to you about it. I do these kind of videos quite often. I've got a number of different videos on my channel. Be sure to subscribe and check it out. Maybe there'll be something else that comes across my desk that you'll be interested in. So until we meet again, have fun playing games, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. This out and show them what being a Notorious and being back with y'all. I can't wait to some more. And folks, thank you so much for stopping in to talk to me about